This is the Apple Classroom of tomorrow here at the Stevens Creek Elementary School in Cupertino, California. In this second grade class, there are 24 Apple computers. The Macs are on a network. They've got scanners, laser printers, and multimedia workstations. Now, every school can't be lucky enough to be an experimental lab in the backyard of Apple Computer, but virtually every school these days is using computers to teach its children. Today, we take a look at software in the schools on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by Central Point Software, suppliers of utilities software, including disk backup, data recovery, file and desktop management, and virus protection. Central Point Software, making computing safer, simpler, faster. Additional funding is provided by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you it's a federal offense to copy software, and by PC Connection and Mac Connection, and by Byte Magazine and Bix.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me this week is Jan Lewis. Jan, it used to be that when a kid was home in the evening, he had a choice between doing his homework, boring, or playing some video arcade game on his Nintendo. But fortunately, these two environments are merging now. This is an example. It's called Outnumbered, a new generation educational game from the Learning Company. And the scenario is we're in a TV station, of course, and these bad guys are trying to take over the TV station. And it's really an adventure arcade game. You see that bad guy's chasing me. I'm trying to run into the newsroom before he gets me, and I can go down there, sit down at that little TV monitor, and all of a sudden I've got a problem to solve here. Let's see if we can solve. Let's see if we're as smart as a 7-year-old. 7 minutes were taken away from the taped interviews on Tuesday. I'd say the answer is 13. What do you think? We did it. Okay.
Did it, okay.
This is fun, Jan, but to some degree the jury is still out really on the role of computers in education and whether they really do contribute to serious learning. What do you think?
Well, the jury may still be out, but the statistics are in. And there's a lot of statistics right now that are showing that in all aspects of education, that computers are helping dramatically in terms of comprehension of information, in terms of the ability to develop analytical thinking, basic skills like math functions, et cetera, in just about all the ways of measuring these things. All the kinds of things that you want out of education are in fact increased when you do use computers. So I think that you know, what we're going to see is, of course, more of the merging between entertainment, which is what people really, not just kids, but everybody likes to learn that way, and yet there's lots of content. And we're going to see the results of it in having people just be simply better educated when they get through with that.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Jan, today we'll take a look at the newest hardware and software being used to educate our kids, from simple off-the-shelf games that teach math and reading skills to high-powered multimedia and network systems that have become major components of the in-school curriculum. Now, sometimes it takes disaster to bring progress, and that was certainly the case in Watsonville, California, where the 1989 earthquake caused major damage. But one result was a new elementary school with a brand new approach to using computers. Here's our report.
Starlight Elementary School in Watsonville was the first public building erected in the area after the earthquake. Watsonville is an agricultural area, and the school district thought this was the chance to bring the benefits of technology to its rural population. The school was 80% Hispanic, and they wanted to broaden its ethnic base.
We chose technology to be the focus here at Starlight as our magnet draw because it's a way of teaching for tomorrow. We call our school Technology with a Heart, and I believe that we want to meet the needs of students. We want to give teachers the best tools that they can have and that are made available now.
Thanks to a $100,000 grant from IBM, Starlight Elementary installed an extensive network of 65 computers. The school is also using IBM educational software to teach reading and writing in both English and Spanish.
We chose IBM for the look of the station, the fact that it's very easy. It's all contained in one unit with the monitor and the computer itself. We really wanted the graphics of the IBM, and since we knew that we would be a networked school, we had heard, and now we are coming to find out, that the networking using the IBM is extremely fast.
The computer system at Starlight includes multimedia workstations hooked up to CD-ROM drives and Laserdisc video players. The attraction of the technology is exactly what the school administrators wanted. Starlight Elementary has drawn in new students from the more affluent areas of Watsonville, and the computers now offer not only a multimedia environment, but also a multiracial one. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
The Macintosh is quickly replacing the good old Apple II as a primary platform for educational software. And here to show us what's new on the Mac are Tracy Tandy of Broderbund and Sally Moore of Great Wave Software. Jan?
You know, Sally Stewart just had an interesting observation about the Macintosh. Great Wave has really put a lot of investment into the Macintosh all along, even when the Apple II is primary. Are you seeing it pay off now?
Well, I'm the education coordinator at Great Wave, and every day people are calling in and asking for LC information and classics, and it feels like I'm doing a lot of representing of Apple indirectly as well. I'm pretty sure that the Apple IIe will be still supported. In fact, the LC is going to have a card that will use the software for that. However, I suspect that this is the direction that a lot of schools and parents, I know the reg cards we're getting right now, coming back with our software indicating that.
Using Macs, yeah. Yeah, all right. Now, Tracy, of course, one of the reasons we're doing stuff on the Mac, because I think a program like yours, KidPix, really takes advantage of the kinds of things you can do on a Mac LC, for example. Run us through KidPix, and I want to see as much of it as we can here.
All right, let me show you. KidPix is a paint program designed especially for kids. It uses not only visuals, but sound. As you can hear, each tool has a characteristic sound. And this is our rectangle, this is our oval. Even our undo is fun and has its own sound. And there are standard erasers as well, but there are some real fun effects you can have clearing your screen. This one's Firecracker.
Okay, that'll be popular, no doubt.
That'll be very popular. And parents and teachers can turn that sound off, too. This is our Wacky Brush. It has a series of effects. This is called Shapes. This is our Fractal Tree Brush. These are randomly generated fractal designs. Each one is a surprise. The Caterpillar uses both sound and symmetry, as you can hear. And Splatter Paint is pretty much self-descriptive. This is one of Nancy Buck's favorite tools. The Electric Mixer is a unique tool, especially for KidPix. With it, kids can get in here and they can transform their art instantaneously. Let's try here. This is the checkerboard tool. This time I think we're going to clear our screen using Ding Dong. I think you'll know why. One of the very special features of KidPix is its talking alphabet.
O, P, Q.
The program ships with both a Spanish-speaking and an English-speaking alphabet, as you can hear. Now, children can come in here, they can not only identify individual letters, but they can come in and they can create whole words. We can stamp out a word.
U.
So this is a great learning tool, and we're finding that kids love it. And the next tool, the rubber stamp tool, allows children to come in. Now, a lot of children, very young children, this program works for kids as young as 3 years old. They can come in here, they can stamp right here in 2 or 3 sizes. I can create a whole art collage, a whole world with this ready-made art. I'm going to choose a little bluebird and put him up here on my cup. I can give him a melody, just multiple stamp here. And it also has a wonderful way of moving things on the screen. Now, if I want to move that, I'm going to go choose my moving van. I'm going to move my apple. Let me gear it up here. And we'll put that right there. Each tool also has a special mystery effect. This is to intrigue children and keep them interested. This is the paint can.
That's cute.
KidPix also takes sound to another level. This is our ability to record sound. If you're working on a LC or the 2SI, or if you have Mac Recorder loaded on your system, you can come on in here. I can record a sound. This is my KidPix Bluebird. We'll save that with our art, and when we play that artwork back, it's going to sound like this.
This is my KidPix Bluebird.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I want to ask you to get, excuse me, once I get out of KidPix, will you, so we can get to Sally in just a minute so we can
I'll
take a
do
look
that.
at the Great Wave stuff. I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
Can the kids add their own stamps? You had a number of predefined artwork.
They can edit stamps. There will be other stamps available eventually. There's over 100 in the program, so they can't necessarily add their own stamps right now, but they can't edit them. Yeah.
All right, Sally, you have two things you want to show us from Great Wave, NumberMaze and ReadingMaze. And I guess we have NumberMaze up first. How does this work?
Actually, this is NumberMaze decimals and fractions. We do have a version called NumberMaze that precedes this. And this program is designed basically for ages 8 through 15, and it has adult remediation, and I can guarantee it does remediate many of us. What we have here is a fairly difficult maze. It has a whole range of difficulties, and you can either change them here, or as you are successful getting to that house that you see there, it will increase in difficulty. And what happens is, as a visual reward, the attic will open up and give different visual and auditory.
Okay.
The other thing you can see here is it does keep statistics and progress. You can keep those for up to 50 students per file, with many files on one disk.
I'm not sure I understand what's going on here. Where do the math problems come up here as you play the maze?
Okay, this part behind the scenes is where I've set this particular student. 3rd through 8th grade, plus the adult portion. This particular student's on 3rd grade, introducing fractions on a practice level. You also have mastery and review levels. Here's my little cursor, and it does change. What I'm doing is going to a gate now on the way to that house. It opens me to a math problem. And as you'll hear, it does speak. It takes the capabilities of the new Macs. And you can re-record this using the LC or the 2SI or using a Mac recorder. So if you had bilingual students or the students felt comfortable with the parents or the teacher's voice. Now what I'm going to do, this is a very simple math level I have here. I can either drag, or I can click, or I can use the keyboard. So it gives me a whole range of different skills.
You got that one right.
Yeah, good thing. All right, it would give me up to 4 questions then, and it would eventually open up this gate. I'm going to stop, though, and go up and leave the door.
Yeah,
it will
Sally,
do that automatically.
I want to make sure we have time for ReadingMaze. We only have a minute left, so could you show us that?
Okay. This one's ReadingMaze. It's also a maze configuration. This is a very simple one. You'll see the students up here again. And what I would be doing is going into another room looking for the items that you see there.
So it was kind of a learning adventure game here, huh?
Yeah, it's more, it's a language arts for ages 3 through 8. And I found one of those. I select the tool, and it opens me to a problem screen, very hard one, or I can go to a more simple one, which would be word recognition. And what I would do here, as an example, is select the right one. It would then take me back to the maze. The maze gets increasingly difficult with magic tools and other items.
And there are parts in there actually where the child could be given a task and have to read the words, as I understand it, to do that task, and then physically perform the task.
Right. It's both a maze portion and an actual, as you can see, the maze got more difficult here because I was successful in the last one.
Yeah. Real quickly, just a few seconds left. Let me ask you, Tracy, you described KidPix as a paint program, but it's a little bit more than that, really. I mean, how do you see that? Is it a game? Is it an education tool? Is it creativity training? What is it?
We see it as all through.
I figured you'd say that.
Yeah, we really do, because it integrates sound and all the visuals, and there's a lot of feedback in there with the talking alphabet. It teaches children as well. They can make equations, they can make words.
Well, all 3 of these are great. Thank you very much. All right, one of the raps against computers in education is that the poorer schools sometimes can't afford the technology, but in many cases, it is in fact computers that are helping low-income schools to break away from the past and bring top-quality education to disadvantaged students. One good example is the Ravenswood Middle School in East Palo Alto, California.
Ravenswood Middle School sits just across the freeway from the affluent neighborhood of Palo Alto, home of Stanford University. But here on the other side of the tracks in East Palo Alto, most of the students come from disadvantaged homes. But thanks to a $100,000 grant from Apple Computer, Ravenswood now has an extensive network of Macintosh computers. One of the main applications at this middle school is MediaWorks, a multimedia tool that lets students use audio, video, graphics, and text to create school reports.
You can take all of the aspects of media and put them all together, and while you're doing that, you're using math, and science, and social studies, and English. When you're writing with the text, you're doing your English skills, your language skills. And when you're trying to research, you're doing social studies work.
The students at Ravenswood have used MediaWorks to create reports on a broad range of subjects, from the environment to earthquakes.
Quake update 89. How lives are changed and are currently affected.
The teachers here say that while the computers play an important role in helping the students learn about particular subjects, the most important contribution of the computers is that they get the students interested in learning.
We have some kids who probably wouldn't have opened a book on a subject this year had it not been by the encouragement of the technology and knowing that they would be able, if they did this, they would be able to use the computers, they'd be able to use the video cameras.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Getting kids interested in math, reading, or history is not always easy, but with computer software, you sometimes can't tear the kids away from the keyboard. Here to show us why are Julie Gibbs of Davidson & Associates and Marcia Lifter, who's going to show us something from Scholastic Incorporated. Jan?
Marcia, one thing I'm sort of curious about with some of the packages we've seen and we're going to see, are these packages being bought by the school for the kids to use? Are they being bought at home for the kids to use? Or are they sort of a research facility that kids are doing on their own?
Well, there are different kinds of packages. Some of these come out in a consumer edition, and that's for sale for the home computer. And then some come out in school editions, and you'll get 2 discs in the school edition. You get your backup with it. And then there are lab packs where you get 5 for a school, or you can have custom lab packs. And then some schools are buying site licenses, and the districts are buying district licenses.
So it's covering all those areas, really.
Yeah.
Julie, let's turn to you, and you've got 2 things you want to show us. Let's start with the Macintosh, and Math Blaster's been a pretty popular series. I know you have one called Math Blaster Mystery now. First of all, what level is it aimed at, and then show us how it works.
Well, this program takes on where Math Blaster takes off.
I see.
And that is Math Blaster's for grades 1 through 6. This program is for grades 5 through 12. It has 4 levels in the program, and this activity is called Weigh the Evidence. The idea behind Weigh the Evidence is to reach this target number. In this case, it's 61. And we have a certain number of moves in which we need to reach that number. Under our help screen here, we can see that goal. The minimum number of moves here is 7. Also, under our pull-down screen, we can get a hint, which tells us to mark the weight that doesn't belong. So in this problem-solving game, we're also learning strategies for solving the problem. So the first thing I need to do is to determine which 3 weights I need to add to get to 61. So I'll mark the 53 because that's the one that doesn't belong. Now I need to move the weights over onto these 2 scales. What I can't do, though, is move a higher number onto a lower number.
Right.
So I'll move my 11 back over here, move my 27, make room for my 23.
This is clearly
My
not 2 +
11.
4 = question mark, is it?
And I think I've got it.
Right.
You did 7 moves, exactly.
And I got 7 moves, so I got my hand
That's
report.
very interesting. I want to ask you to move over now to the other one you have up on our MyTac machine here, which is Spellosaurus. Again, who's it aimed at and how does it work?
This program is a spelling program, and it's designed for children in grades 1 through 6.
Okay.
It has 5 activities, including the Dino lists in which you can put in your own spelling lists. The program does include spelling lists up to grade 8, and they have about 200 words in each list. What I'll go through and show you first is the Terra Tutor activity, and we'll select our list, 3rd grade, and meet Professor Terra.
Listen. You will see and hear the word to get you started. Then it's
Now,
your turn
Professor
to spell
Terra
the
will
word.
show us the word,
Press return
we'll hear
when
the
you are
word,
finished.
and he'll also show us how it's spelled, and then we will have the opportunity to spell the word ourselves.
G. B-I-L-L. G. Spell. G.
Now I'll go ahead and spell it.
Stupendous.
Get some positive reinforcement from Professor Terra. Now, if by chance we spell the word incorrectly, Professor Terra will give us some hints on how to spell it correctly.
Let's try that word again. Some of the letters
And we'll have
you
4
typed
chances
were
to spell
not
that word
correct.
correctly, and then he'll show us the word.
Julie, is there evidence this stuff works? I mean, do we know that computer software can teach using this approach?
You know, we get letters all the time from our customers who tell us how the grades of their children, or from educators, their students, how their grades have improved. We hear that all the time.
All right, Marcia, let's turn to you. And you have, again, we were talking before when Jan asked you about really software at the resource level. It might be in a school library. This is called Point of View, and show it to us.
This is Point of View by Scholastic. It's a history processor. I'm going to click over here and watch how the icons move. If I have a pull-down screen just like this, it gives me just a short piece of text. When it has a drop shadow, and notice how we turn to a cross. Now, behind Jim Crow laws were more linkage of material.
Okay, hold on one second. Now, at the bottom, what we have here is a timeline, basically.
This is the
and you can just
timeline.
slide the cursor along to pick a time in U.S.
I
history.
can move it. Now, notice what happens to the icons on the screen. They change. But
Okay.
I need to know what else is happening during the time of the Jim Crow laws. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to go to Explore, and I'm going to ask for a map. I want to know about the black population of that time. So it's going to give me a map based on 20 years of census materials. I'm asking for black population, United States, and now we'll see coming onto the screen a map giving me pictorial representation. All of this can be printed out for the teacher's use. It can be put into a report authored on this program for the student. Now I go to Explore, pull down Chart, because I want to see this map in a chart form. Again, it's going to be a column chart. I'm going to bring the map forward, and I'm just going to move over a couple states. Let's move over a northern state. Just simply move it over. It turns into chart form, and let's move Texas
automatically making a bar graph out of those
It's an
three states.
excellent bar graph. Let's move it in front. And now we can see, we can do a compare and contrast on the black population. Now, as I move along the bottom, the timeline, notice how the icons are changing.
So you're advancing in time, and the chart is changing accordingly
Along
to
with
what
it.
year we're looking
and
at.
the map.
And the map.
And the map
Yes,
is changing
yes.
too. Now, we can author in
Oh,
this, we
boy.
can print out, we can hook to a video, we can control a video using Point of View on the Macintosh. I'm going to close this. And it's asking me, do you want to save this for a report you're doing? No, I'm not writing a report
But you
right
could have
now.
printed it out and put it in your paper
I
that you were
certainly
doing
could have
for
printed it
class.
out,
Yeah,
and I
okay.
could make it as large as the screen. And now I'm going to click on Kennedy, and we'll see some materials from then.
Fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
So you've got a series of sound clips built
There are
built
some
in
sound
also.
clips, and the fact that you can hook up to your own video, to your favorite Laserdisc, really helps this be a full program. So this has been a very short overview of Point of View.
And how would you suggest schools use something like Point of View?
I see it as a research tool for the student and the teacher. I see the teacher going in and pulling perhaps Emancipation Proclamation, printing out a copy, passing it out to the students, and everyone then is studying from the same document.
Sure. So a resource for the teacher or the student for that matter. Thank you very much. That's our look at educational software for kids. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news.
In the random access file this week, Toshiba is shipping the first laptop portable computer to offer full-color VGA using active matrix display technology. The T3200 SXC color laptop uses thin-film transistor and liquid crystal display technology. The Toshiba screen can display 256 simultaneous colors. The 3200 SXC weighs a hefty 17 pounds, and the price is up there too at about $9,000. Microsoft and Silicon Graphics are joining forces to develop three-dimensional graphics technology for personal computers. Microsoft will integrate Silicon Graphics Iris Graphics library technology with Microsoft systems and application software. The Iris Graphics library provides tools to let users manipulate color images in 3D space. Commodore says it's now shipping CD-TV, its long-awaited interactive home entertainment and education system. The company says its CD-TV interactive multimedia system combines the features of computers, video game machines, and compact disc music players. It is meant to be used in conjunction with an ordinary TV set. It will sell for less than $1,000. PC Magazine reports that IBM is planning to announce its own toolkit for porting Windows applications to OS 2. The porting toolkit is based on the Micrographics Mirrors program, program. Applications ported with it will only run under OS 2.0. Taking a look at this week's top 10 software titles for the Macintosh, Mac Connection reports that Macintax 1990 is in the #1 position with After Dark in second. Third is Mac Utilities, followed by SAM and Adobe Type Manager. Rounding out the top 10 are Quicken 1.5, Suitcase 2, Disk Doubler, KidPix, and Managing Your Money. Time now for this week's software review with Paul Schindler.
If you ever wondered what happened to the dinosaurs or where they came from, you might find some entertainment in Darwin's Dilemma. Now, strictly speaking, this is more a game of strategy than it is a game about evolution, but it turns out the creatures you are building do, in fact, come at you in the order in which they appear on the evolutionary scale. But in reality, the first cockroach was not made up of 4 amoebas, as it is in this game. In order to assemble a higher animal, you take your marker, a small bust of Darwin, and place it next to the animal you would like to move. If there is a clear, straight path to another animal of the same type, it moves, and you may have half or 3/4 of the mergers necessary to create the next higher animal. You lose points for moving animals, then gain them when you create a successful merger. The object of the game is to move up the evolutionary scale with as few moves as possible. It takes 24 levels to reach man. Darwin's Dilemma is $50 from Inline Design in Sharon, Connecticut. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
Aldus is shipping PageMaker 4.01 for the Macintosh in order to correct a number of bugs found in version 4.0. The upgraded version of PageMaker is being mailed free to all registered users. Apple has begun shipping the Apple II card for the new Macintosh LC. The add-in board will allow the Mac LC to run most existing Apple II programs. The card sells for $199. Radius has introduced a new full-page monochrome display for the Mac Classic and the Mac LC. The Radius FPD is a 15-inch monochrome monitor with a resolution of 640 by 870 pixels. It sells for $900. ULEAD Systems has introduced a product that finally offers photo enhancement capabilities to Windows users. Photo Styler allows PC users to scan, retouch, compose, and print images with professional quality. It ships in May for under $800. Finally, if you're tired about reading about multimedia, you can now watch and hear multimedia. There's a new CD magazine coming out called Verbum Interactive 1.0. The first issue is due out this month. The 2-disc magazine will include actual demonstrations of animation and interactive multimedia works. Verbum Interactive runs on a Mac 2 equipped with a CD-ROM drive. That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles. I'm Maria Gabriel.
Computer Chronicles has been made possible in part by Central Point Software, makers of Central Point Antivirus, a comprehensive program for the detection, removal, and prevention of more than 500 computer viruses. Additional funding has been provided by the Software Publishers Association, which reminds you it's a federal offense to copy software, and by PC Connection and Mac Connection, and by Byte Magazine and Pix, the Byte Information Exchange.